to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of A Well-Designed Business. It's PowerTalk Friday. I have a very, very interesting program for you today because this program is going to be talking about influencer marketing. And I have to say, I know that that's a buzzword. I know that we all attend many panels on influencer marketing. And I will actually tell you that I just did a seminar on influencer marketing with my friend Claire Jeffert down at the International Window Coverings Expo. But my guest today is like a super expert on influencer marketing, and she is here to teach us some things about it that I know that we have not considered. Susana Yee is with me, and her company is called Digital Everything. It's a Los Angeles-based digital marketing consulting firm. She has clients across the globe. It is founded by her more than 20 years ago. The services include social media campaign management, influencer marketing, Facebook and Twitter paid ads management, Google AdWords, social media strategy, ROI campaign analysis, affiliate marketing management, content creation, retargeting campaigns. All of these things fall under this umbrella. But I think you're going to be very happily surprised at the way Susana is able to connect this to our businesses in a very real way. So first of all, Susana, thank you so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Susana, I told you a little bit about my friends here listening to the program. And of course, we do have our influencers in the interior design industry. We've got Lori Peranjape, Corey Damon Jenkins. We've got Eric Ross. We've got our influencers. There's no question. But of course, there's all the rest of us, all of us regular people that are just going to work every day, right? And so one of your primary services is that you do work with and for people who are influencer, or you actually work with one of your primary things is to work with the brands and teaching the brands how to make the most of the relationship with that influencer marketer, somebody that's already sort of at that status level. And you educate and strategize with the brand how to maximize that. So I understand that part correctly, right, Susana?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. But the other thing is that I think is really interesting is that you're also able to speak to us in our regular everyday Joe level and give us some tips on how we might almost quote unquote think of ourselves as that brand, and how do we reach out and possibly work with and leverage some of these influencers. So the first thing is, I have to say, I think it's common sense, you correct me, that if we're in our little world and we are a person of 9 or 10,000 or 5,000 followers on Instagram, then we're not going to reach out to, we're not going to consider ourselves Sally Smith brand, interior designer brand, and we're not reaching out to a celebrity, right? We've got to reach out a little bit ahead of us on the curve. But there are some very practical things that we can do that actually can benefit our interior design firm. Would you start to talk to us about what are some of those things might be, Susana?
Sure. I mean, it's really about making sure that you are shown to be somebody that is able to be promoted, meaning your Instagram and your brands across the board, all your profiles are cohesive. So if somebody looks at your Facebook page, they know exactly what you're doing. If they go look at your Instagram page, they know exactly what you're doing and they know exactly how to contact you. There's a call to action in your profile, your email address or something that says, call me or email me if you want to book me for something. Make sure people know how to contact you as soon as they see you, because if they go there and they're not sure what you do and your photos, your profile photo or your photos in your feed don't resonate with who you are, that's the number one issue. So you have to act like a brand. You have to be a brand. You have to decide that you're a brand and you have to act like a brand. So look at some of the bigger accounts and see what they're doing and just start mimicking what they're doing. Meaning, if they look like they're showing up for speaking engagements or if they're showcasing products, start doing that. Pick up a product that you use all the time that you are a big fan of and talk about it. Literally spend one post talking about that product, whatever that product is. If it's a design brand that has lamps or has pillows and you love that brand and every time you work with a client, you use it. When you take a photo of something you're doing, let's just say you go to a home that you're working on, you're working on redesigning their living room and you used all that brand's pillows there. Take a photo of it, tag that brand, talk about it. Let people know in your feed, write about it. Why are you using this brand? Why do you love this brand so much? And then tag them and hashtag it with, some hashtags that are really important and relevant to your field. And more than likely, if the brand's not huge and the brand's like a boutique brand or a smaller brand and, you are aligned in terms of your style and they find you to be influential, they may reach out to you and want to collaborate with you or work with you. You can also reach out to them if you see something in line with them. Always remember, it's not just a one-way street. You don't have to wait for them to find you. Mm-hmm. You can also reach out to them. You can email them and say, hey, I really like your brand and I'd love to work with you. And here's why. I've used you in XYZ or I've seen it and I'd love to work with you. Just let them know what you're looking for and you never know. Or look through your favorite designers who are already more influential or getting deals on Instagram and other places, like on their blogs, and see what they're asked to do. And then if that brand resonates with you, reach out to them and say, I can do this too, and see what they say.
Okay.
So that's one tip.
Okay, and let me take it apart a little bit before you go on. So the thing is in there is the number one thing, and coincidentally, I think it's exactly what I led with and when Claire and I did the thing, is that everything has to look the same first. So you can't decide that it's like putting your hand up to be, I want to be in a fashion show, but you only have one outfit. You have to have, so the website has to look good, the Instagram has to look good, the Pinterest board has to look good, the Facebook has to look good, your LinkedIn has to be professional. It has to all be there and ready, because that's what's going to happen. If you do attract someone's attention or you actually ask for the attention, they're going to come back, and to your point, look to see if you're promotable, because everything is showing up and is professional and on brand. That's the one thing that you said. The other thing is I love is have the email, have a phone number, something. My goodness, Susana, I can't tell you the number of times that I like somebody on Instagram, an interior designer, and I go from their profile to their website and there's no way to reach them other than like a contact form. And I'm like, I'm not filling out that form. I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing it. And so that's that. And then the other thing, though, I want to pick apart, because I know designers listening, before you give your next tip, are gonna, in their mind, push back just a tiny bit on the sharing. So, for instance, I just mentioned Mrs. Paranjape, Lori Paranjape, and she did the keynote address at the IWCE in Nashville recently. And she talked about how she grew her Instagram following to over 80,000 followers, I believe, at this point. And she talked about how at this point in her career, she is, almost exclusively getting all new clients through Instagram. So she talked to us about her strategies and the things that she does. Now, Lori Paranjape has a much higher profile than many of us do in this industry. But Susana, one of the things that she mentioned is she cautioned designers in oversharing the sources that they use and the products that they use, because we have to remember that that particular client paid for that product placement. In other words, you designed that room for that paying client, and now all of a sudden you're telling the entire world how great this lamp is. You don't have to pay me for my advice to get this lamp. Now, there is a disconnect, because we all know just because the lamp looked great in one of your designs, it doesn't mean it's going to look great in somebody else's design. So there's a nuance, right, Susana, on how you do this and how you're right?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing with fashion, lifestyle people. They make deals with these brands, and so a lot of times, they have an affiliate deal or they have a brand deal, and so they're paid to mention certain designers that they're wearing, and then the rest of the time, they're carrying something else or have a bag or shoes or a pair of pants that they don't tag at all. And those are the ones that people keep asking about, and they're not going to tell you. And then they lead you to their blog, where they might reveal more information because they want more blog traffic, or they have an affiliate deal or some kind of other brand deal with the pants, because obviously Instagram, it's more about branding. There's not a lot, like unless there's a swipe up option or a link in bio, a lot of times you're not really driving people to the sale as much. And so you really want to pick and choose what you're doing. And I don't mean like tag every single thing in the room, but if there's something if you've designed this room for a client, okay, and there's 10 things in it, but maybe there's one thing where it's kind of obvious, right? You kind of, like, I think people can probably see certain things and say, okay, I know which designer did that. A lot of you guys probably can see that. If there's one like that, that could be a freebie, like do one of those. Okay. Or if not, if you don't want to tag the brand, what you can just say is you can send the photo to the brand and say, look, I used your stuff here. Here it is. And I do it all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Why don't you, or, give me a freebie. Why don't you repost my thing? And you can say, look, I found it here. I mean, depending on what the deal is that you make with the brand, but there's always a way around it so that you can make sure that the brand recognizes that you're promoting them in one way or another, and then you could work out a deal with them. But the deal has to work both ways, right? So like for you, if you don't want to reveal your sources, then definitely reach out directly to the brand, show them what it is that you did, and then ask them how you guys can work together. And it could be even a deal where you're just doing the deals directly from, using their products, and then they're incentivizing you through the client, through the backside on the client. Or if you want to grow bigger in terms of an affiliate deal, you can post it on the blog and make sure that it gets cookied every single time, that it gets clicked through to the site, and you can wait like a month or two, or you can ask permission from your client. It just all depends.
There's a lot of ways to look at it. I hear you.
Yeah.
And so to clarify one of those things about the blog, so what you're saying is, say there's a beautiful room. You've got a sofa, a rug, lighting, and an accent table. So maybe what you're saying is you're willing to show the source for one of those items because it doesn't seem so exclusive. It isn't something that they probably couldn't Google and find out. But what you're saying is when they start to say, and where did you get that rug? And where did you get this? And you're starting to feel a little icky because your client has paid for that design. If you've created a blog post about it, you would say, hey, I did more explanation on my blog, head over there or something, because that's not putting out an advertisement to the world that here's the exact room my client paid for. Because the blog, for us, it gets us blog traffic, but it's not the same as putting a billboard out there. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah. So for blog traffic, you can talk about the explanation behind it. Like I chose jewel tones,
because
this is the pattern. You don't ever have to give the name,
right?
So you don't have to do that at all. And then you could say, for more information, contact me.
Right.
And then you might get a new client out of it from that, or it might be the brand going, oh, I recognize our bench. I'd love to work with you, or that's our design, drapery or whatever it is, So there are a lot of ways to do that, and you can even tag it like I don't know, like in your bathroom, there are tiles, those chevron tiles or whatever, or herringbone tile or whatever. You could tag it in a way where where the brand will know to look for it. Does that make sense?
Right. I do. Like yes. Okay. So like the inside language that we use in the industry, they're looking for that language, but not necessarily the consumer wouldn't identify it by that language.
Yeah, so then you're not giving it away to the consumer. Your client's not going to be mad, but then the brand's going to figure out who you are if they really want to, and then at the same time, if you really want to work with them, write an email to them and show them the photo.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Don't be afraid to be forward, right?
Yes. Well, there's so many people out there, influencers, that they don't have enough time to look for anybody. Honestly, unless,
Right.
so, what they do is they hire an agency and then the agency will go find them somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
And okay, so now you were about to tell us step 2 before I jumped in there.
Oh, so branding, tagging if it's appropriate. If not, write a blog post. I actually prefer, if you have a blog, to write a blog post explaining, whatever the thought process is without giving away your secret sauce. And then driving people there. I mean, that's one way to build a brand, is by driving people to, I see all these people who are calling themselves influencers and they have only one platform, which is Instagram. And what happened yesterday? Instagram and Facebook were down for like 9 hours or 8 hours, right? Well, guess what happened to all these people? They weren't doing anything yesterday. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And so it's like, all these marketing experts say this all the time, and I've been doing this for a long time. I started my blog in 2007 and then started working with clients, in 2008 and onwards. And so I always say this, it's like, what if, like Friendster was big, in 2002,
right.
It's gone now. You know what I mean? MySpace is gone now.
Right.
I mean, yeah, Facebook is around right now. We don't know what's going to happen to Facebook tomorrow.
Right.
So make sure you don't put all your eggs in one basket. Create content, and also your audience is not always on the same place. Some people hate Facebook. Some people love Facebook. Some people love Pinterest. Some people hate Pinterest. You don't know where they are. So that doesn't mean you have to post there every single day. But there's a consistency. It's fine. If it's too stressful to post everywhere, then just post in one place and then reuse that content in a different way, or just take that content and make it a little bit different and put it somewhere else. But definitely I suggest be everywhere, and then the blog is a great place because you own it.
Right. Yeah, we always say you want to build your email list, right? That's the one thing that you own. That if the rest of it can go away, but you still have your email list. And if Instagram does go away and the next day it's, whatever, man, Postagram comes up, you can just start all over again there if you want, but you can still keep doing business through your email list.
Exactly. And so as an influencer, your job is to make sure that people can find you and you're consistently messaging about who you are. And then if you have a goal in mind, like whatever that goal is, I want more speaking engagements, or I want to do more workshops, or I want more clients, whatever that goal is, make sure everything you do is towards that goal. And what I mean is, if you want to do more workshops, then show photos of yourself on your social media talking about how you just did a workshop today. And there's a photo of me. I just did this workshop. Check it out. People can't guess what you do. You know what I mean? So I always don't like these social media people who post things that just seem so like vague. Like I'm always like, well, what are you trying to say? Like, like where they'll post something that's just random. Like I don't understand it. Like it's really artsy. I've seen some of that on some of the interior designer things, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like I'm confused.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I'm just confused. Like, who are you? Like, what are you selling? I don't get it. Like,
Right. So what do you think is? So what you're saying is, if you want to specialize in renovating full house homes, then that's what you're going to post. Don't post a picture of art.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should choose it and make a schedule. Make a schedule every single day. You can post 3 times a week if you want, however you want to do it. But just make sure you show up consistently so that your followers know, like, okay, she posts on Mondays. Okay, she doesn't post on Tuesdays. Okay, so you know what I mean?
Right.
So and then like make it consistent. Like, okay, Mondays she does a quote on design. Wednesday she does a piece of art, that she likes to talk about. She likes to place art, and why what is her vision behind choosing a certain piece of art for every room. Maybe she has a vision for every room needs a piece of art, whatever it is, the thing is, and then Fridays, Friday is bench day, or Friday is sofa day, or Friday is pillow day, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, you kind of have to like go like that, but you have to give them their thought process, or like, okay, so I'm a renovation person, so this is how I start my process. This is Monday's demo day. Tuesday is Tuesday is go find the tiles day, or Wednesday's meet the architect day, whatever it is, like.
You're so funny struggling through what.
I don't know. I don't do this. What I did was I actually walked into like my favorite interior design place in LA, and I like everything from them. And I'm like, can you just please come to my house?
Right.
And they just came to my house and they just helped me redo my house. I was like,
Exactly.
thank God. And I didn't have to ever think about it again.
Right.
Yeah,
this is the funny thing, Susana. What's so funny is sometimes we will have designers on the show and I am literally looking at them and, screaming through the Skypes at them saying, people want what you do. They can't do what you do. You have to put a value and a price tag on it. Don't be afraid to charge your services, because there's those of us out here that don't know how to do it.
I know. I don't want to do it.
Right. And don't want to do it. Right.
How many freaking tiles can I look at? I don't want to look at tiles.
I know. Show me too. Just a matter of fact, just put one in.
Right? Can you just get somebody to do it? It's so funny because my really good friend, she's an architect, and she has a design build place, and so when I was redoing things, my architect gave me like these and something, those really expensive tiles.
And sacks.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So he told me to do that. I was like, I'm not going to spend $70,000 on my bathroom. What the hell? So then I called my friend, and she found me like something that was very, very, very similar, and I'm very happy. And it was like 1/10 of the cost or something.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
But she's a great designer, and she's been all over, and and she did it. Like, can you imagine? Like, I had to go to there were like 3 stores my sister-in-law brought me to. I was like, I can't look at this anymore.
I can't do it. I can't. I try and tell them all the time. There's people out there just like you and me. It's like, just get it done. I don't want to be involved.
I don't want to do it. I do that.
Exactly. I love it.
That's your job.
That's right. And thank God they're out there to do it for us. So, okay. So now talk to me a little bit. There was something that we talked about before the show that I thought was amazing little strategy that us as smaller business owners could utilize, and I mentioned it in the introduction, where we consider ourselves the brand and we possibly reach out to an influencer. And what we said, because I said to you, are you saying to me that, like, say we look at some of these mommy bloggers and whatever else they're called, right? That are, these are some women out there that are in their late 20s to early 40s, mostly, I guess, 30s, right? That have got tens of 20s and 50s and 60 and 80 and hundreds of thousands of followers, clearly all the way up to the millions. But the idea that is to go for somebody that's above our level, as far as social media followers level, and maybe suggest, like, just the way they get sent a box. Okay, well, you open my box and rub your feet with the lotion, right? But your idea was, why couldn't they reach out to one of these influencers and suggest a partnership that maybe they're in their local area? So you're a designer and you're in Dallas, and there's an influencer that's in Dallas, and you say to her or him, how about we work out an arrangement? Maybe I will design one room for you at the design fees at no charge, but you're going to purchase the product. We're going to document the process. You're going to get a ton of pictures. I'm going to get a ton of pictures, but you're going to talk about it the whole time. You're going to say, so-and-so designer is doing this for me, right? That's a viable thing for our audience to do, right, Susana?
Totally, because that's what my friend did for me. She actually, she didn't need the photos, but she did me a favor, because I took a photo of all the rooms in my house, and she rendered the drawings, and she said, here's what you need, and here are the colors. And then she got me on Pinterest, and I pinned everything, and, and then we chose things together. But she redid like 2 of my rooms for me that weren't done by the place that I hired. And it was all done by her remotely, and I had photos and everything, and she walked me through it. So what I'm saying is, for somebody who, if you reach out to an influencer who is always talking about her home, and maybe she has a beautiful home and she's thinking about redoing her home, or you can see that she's always posting photos of her home, you can reach out to her and say, hey, are you thinking about redoing your home this spring or this summer? Are you doing a refresh of your bathroom, whatever you're planning on doing? I can help you do this. My usual design fee is X, but I'll do it for free in exchange for photos, a blog post, a story, whatever you want. And then I get to use those. And then after you post it, I get to reuse your photos and your story on my blog and my thing. Is that okay? I mean, usually if they're going to save, a couple $1,000s on a design fee, they're going to say yes.
Right, because they're doing half this stuff for a darn box in the mail.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, I can't believe you just opened that box and wrote all that stuff for that. Yeah, but that's another story, right? But yeah, exactly. So, I mean, think about it. And if they had to make that money and pay a designer, they have to pay tax on that, right?
That's
so,
right.
I mean, so think about it that way.
Right. It's a multiplying savings. But the thing is, and look, a lot of our interior designers are capable of doing e-design. And so you could even reach out to somebody who aligns with you and feels like their brand is, would be reflection of your design aesthetic and XYZ. And they don't even have to be local. But the idea is that, isn't it? The thing about it is, Susana, is to remember that everyone that's in a business has a need. Just because someone's in an influencer business and they've got 40,000 followers and you might have 5,000 or 500 followers, doesn't mean that they don't have needs. And somebody, just because they have 40,000 followers doesn't necessarily mean they're making, multiple six figures. They're still probably in their late 20s, early 30s. And there's probably, they show you the beautiful kitchen that they're always taking all of their stuff in. But maybe there is some funky rooms upstairs that they would love to have look beautiful, right?
Yeah, totally. And then, people who love to have a beautiful room are probably going to want to refresh. Like, I want to refresh, you know what I mean? Like, right. I did this 2 years ago. I'm looking at my rug and I'm thinking, I want a new rug, So
we love people like you, Susana.
Like, I need a new rug.
2 years, huh?
Yes. Yeah. I need a new rug. But it's one of those things. And like so if you can identify who these people are and, target 10 of them and email them and let them know what your offer is and let them know what your value proposition is, because this is what I normally charge and I'll give it to you for free. And this is what I want from you.
I love that you said that, because that is the one thing that you always have to do. Normally this is $6,000. This is, for 2 rooms or 1 room, this amount of hours is X amount of thousands of dollars. However, you really are, you don't just say, I'll do it for free and it doesn't have any value. You say what the value is. And it occurs to me that we could, as the designer making this proposition to an influencer, we could also pre-rope in a brand. Right? We can have a little conversation with a furniture brand or a lighting brand or a rug brand on the front end that says, I'm going to reach out, I'm going to do this, and I will say to her or him that if they're open to me designing using your XYZ products, then you're going to supply the product. I'm going to supply the design. They might have 10 other things that they might have to pay for their plumber, their electrician, whatever the costs are like that. But we've got a 3-way stool now that's creating something, right?
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what's great about it. And we can always take that opportunity and say, look, I really think that, this brand, or you can even approach the brand yourself and just say, I'm going to do this person's room and I'm thinking I want to do a bench, I want to do this and a that. And, you get 3 brands involved.
Yeah.
And, it's good for the influencer too. They get the exposure, but then if you make the deal with the brand, you have them pay you a placement fee, or you can, however you work out your deals with your brands, the percentage markup.
See, and that's the other thing, because you're consistently throughout this conversation putting in that part, a placement fee. See, I think that a lot of us would normally be like, oh, you're going to supply that for free. We're so lucky. It's like, well, actually, you're suggesting to us that we could actually charge them a placement fee. See, it's recognizing that the designer is the one holding the value cards. You're the one that has the intellectual property, the one who knows actually how to do this. You're coming with the connection of that influencer to that brand. And don't just be happy that everybody's willing to do it for free. Actually, you can charge them to do it, is your point.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's where you have to understand, like I love it when people say things like, early in my career or even recently, a lot of times people say things like, brands will reach out to me and just go, hey, can I pick your brain? You're like, no. You know what I mean? You can pick my brain for like my strategy fee, like, I don't know. I mean, that's all you got, right? So
Right.
like, I think that's where you have to think about it as an interior designer, like your vision, that's your vision. Like, I just can't even begin to tell you, like, after going through this process, like this woman came into my house and she's like, you don't need that window. Get rid of that window, close that door, get rid of that, put a wall there, take this closet out and put in a desk instead. I was
Yes.
like, wow, never would have thought of that. She's like, and you don't need that. Make that a pocket door, you know, take that bookshelf out. You need a wall there. I'm like, what? It's crazy. But it's like, that's like kind of how I think strategically for businesses, for, influencer marketing and for social media marketing, just digital marketing. Like, that's how I think about it for businesses. And I think that's how you have to think about it for your business. Like, all these things, like, it blows my mind. Like, that person, she told me to get rid of the door, put a pocket door there, take out the window. And I mean, like, all those things, she said that to me in like half an hour, but she
Right.
sold me everything, like everything. I didn't buy a thing from anywhere else.
Right.
So think
Right.
about it that way.
Right, because
So,
you could see that she was expert at what she did, and you had confidence in her that she would execute. And so that's the thing for us to not forget, that even though if we're going to consider connecting and making this proposition between an influencer and a brand, but we're the one, A, that's making the connection, and B, we're the one that has that skill set that is able to connect those two, and to not think that they're all doing a favor for us, that we're actually working. This is what we do. This is how we do it. They need us to do it. And yes, you're going to earn more business from it. That's the whole point of it. But it's not icky to say, I want to play. Not only do I want you to put it there, but I want you to pay me to put it there.
yeah. And then however you work out your fees normally with brands, figure that out,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't know if the product's free, but it's worth $500 and you take a 20% placement fee on the $500 item.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I'm not sure how you guys do that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, but I really think that that's where you have to go with this. And in terms of becoming an influencer or hiring an influencer, there's two ways to go about it. But I think you could do both at the same time. It's not like you can't do one, you don't have to do one at a time.
Right. You don't have to aspire to be either or. Because in that moment, what's interesting is in that triad, in your relationship with the influencer, you're the brand. You're reaching out to that influencer blogger and saying, I am a brand. My brand is my interior design firm, and I'm looking to work with you to get exposure for my brand. But at the time, on the other way, when you look at the brand whose furniture or lighting or appliances that you want to place into that design scheme, then you're the influencer. You're saying, I'm the one who's going to put eyeballs on your brand, right? You're like doing both roles there.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So the thing about it is now your program that you have is, you have a course called Influencer Marketing Roadmap. And this course, Susana, is designed more for us when we think of ourselves as that brand. So it's not teaching us how to be an influencer. It's teaching us how to think of ourselves as a brand and how we might go out and access and work with influencers. Am I correct with that?
Yes. So my course is on the brand side. But if you're an interior designer and you have a company and you want to work with influencers, it is helpful, because it's like a roadmap or a cookbook, if you will, of A to Z, how to find influencers, how to target them, how to work with them, how to make sure that you do everything right in terms of asking them for content creation, legal documents, or getting organized, especially if you work with more than one at a time, how to create a campaign, what the strategy is, what the types of influencers there are out there and what fees they require, what the Federal Trade Commission rules are for these kinds of relationships that need to be disclosed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's consistent that way, is that, I'm giving you basically a complete cookbook on an A to Z to complete a campaign within this course.
Right.
And so it works for brands, and it works for somebody if you own a business and you want to work with more than one influencer at a time.
Okay, cool. And this will be available in the show notes and the newsletter that comes out every week. So if you are not on my email newsletter list, you've got to text 444-999 and put in the word design biz, no caps, no spaces, and you'll get on the newsletter, and then you can get information on Susana's course. So before I let you go, Susana, I'm trying to think about that. Well, I know what I wanted to ask you. You had one of your breakout moments was this amazingly viral campaign that you were part of and that I guess you designed for guests. And you're going to explain to us what it was and how it worked. But it wasn't that you were, I'm asking, you weren't working for guests. You just said, let me see what happens if I do this, and then you got their attention? Or were you hired by guests to create a campaign on Pinterest?
I was hired by guests to create a campaign.
Okay, so you were hired by them. So that's you in your capacity as a social marketing strategist. Okay, so tell us a little bit about that campaign and what was in it, in the components of the campaign that caused this to go viral, and tell us the accolades that it got and its status in the social media world, as it were.
So it was in 2012, and it was written up in Mashable and Yahoo because it went viral. It was named one of the best 5 campaigns on Pinterest that year.
Wow.
And it's actually still live. And so I basically I was a partner in a firm, and I ran the social media and the PR side of the business, and we were asked to do their guest campaign. They said, let's do something fun. What do you think? So then we started looking around at what was available, and at the time there were no influencers. They were called bloggers, and we looked at all the up and coming bloggers that were out there, and we looked at some young bloggers that we really liked that we like, and we basically chose 4 different people that are all consistently posting and had a really good fan base. And we asked them to run a color campaign. So this was a colored denim campaign, because at the time, Guess was really starting to sort of get into a place where they were not picking up as much steam as they had been, and they were looking for something fresh and interesting. So then we thought, okay, well, you guys are doing color denim this spring, so why don't we just do a colored denim campaign? They said, well, what are you thinking? So we had all 4 of the influencers choose one color of denim each and pin a pin board. So they put the red denim on, one put the coral denim on, one put the mint denim on, and one put the yellow denim on. And then they created outfits around it, wore it, got them shot, and then posted them on Pinterest, and then posted other of the same family items from guests, from their guest site and from other sites onto their pin board. So it made it really beautiful in yellow, or really beautiful in like reddish tones, or really beautiful coral tones, mint green, for the 4 colors. And then the contest that we ran to make sure that we got a lot of user-generated content was to ask their followers to come on Pinterest and pin it, and pinned it by creating a fun pin board of their own, and then tagging their person that they followed. So, we had people who did their own red boards, their own mint green boards, the whole what have you. And then, but we made sure that they had to visit the guest site to pin from that, to bring it back into the pin board. And so the goal was to make sure that guests got a lot of website traffic as well as in-store traffic, because some people went to the stores to visit and took photos and then uploaded them onto Pinterest. And then the winner of the best pin board got $500 to shop at Guess in store or online.
Whoa. Yes. That's got to be I'm just Mike thinking about managing that. I mean, is there a computer algorithm? Like, what if you ended up with 1,000 boards of 250 yellow, 250 red? Like, how do you manage that?
So what we also did, the one component I forgot to mention, is that we had people vote on them. So basically the most votes won. So a lot of people had like their friends come on vote, or some of the boards were just really beautiful. People like have a lot of design sense, and they really just made beautiful boards, and people were voting on them.
Okay.
And so we had a voting component, and then also the influencers were the deciding end vote, if there was a tie.
Okay.
So based on that, it was kind of an easy way to do it. But in today's world, there are platforms that can help you manage these types of campaigns. So if you have thousands and thousands of this user-generated content, there is a way to organize it. As long as you're using the same hashtags or the same codes, you can end up all on the same platform. You can organize it really well. But the easy way to do it is also just to make sure that you give them specific hashtags for something like this. So I would, if we were doing it today, I would do a hashtag like guess yellow, guess red.
Right.
Hashtag guess yellow, guess red, and then you can easily organize it that way.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, because look, we're going to have somebody listening that's going to be like, I want to do something like that. How do I organize it? How do I do it? And so, is it a platform that manages all that? Is it just something like it's an app that you get, or is it more complicated and you need your webmaster involved?
No, it's an app that you get, and they're all different kinds of apps. And this is what I explain in my course, because these are all these types of questions, right? That hours and hours and hours of research. You know what I mean? Like, yes. I would say, like, you can Google like how to do something, and it will take you like 10 hours of research to do it, right? Or just like I can Google how to
pick an area rug, right? Yeah, but
which
like
chevron thing I want, which chevron rug I wanted.
After 9,000 articles, you still don't know which one, right?
yeah. And I ended up on the Missoni site, and then I ended up on the Wayfair site, and it's like, what am I doing? So.
Okay, fair enough. Right. Okay, awesome. I love it. Yeah. So really, I just think that it's just a different spin. That one thing in there, that different spin on us probably thinking of us as a brand, and not needing to be a person with 5 or 6 or 8 or 10,000 followers. It could be just somebody that has an idea and can make all the pieces work and just reach a little bit above your level, because that person there is looking to increase their awareness and increase their platform as well, right? I mean, that's what it all comes down to.
Yes, and I think that's what people need to understand is, while you're wanting to work with these people, it's great, and you should reach out to them, but also you should try to create your own influencer platform yourself. You are now going to look at yourself as a brand, and you start thinking about what that means, a cohesive colors, all the things that you need to do to make yourself a brand. What is your thing? Sometimes people have a thing, right? So like, say somebody always has, like, I know this one retailer, she always talks about her third piece. She always goes, to finish off an outfit, you need a third piece, so she's known for her third piece,
right?
So like, what's your thing? I'm sure you always mention something, or you might always have a certain signature thing that you do,
right.
Always make it that, so that they think of you as that person.
Okay.
That's a really great way to kind of stand out. For example, like Eva Chen, she is the head of fashion at Instagram. And her thing is she always takes a photo of herself with a piece of fruit, the bag that she's carrying that day, and her shoes that she's wearing that day in a cab with her feet up. That's her thing. And they call it, and now it's called the Eva Chen pose. Yep, millions of followers later. So,
it's her shoes, her pocketbook, a piece of fruit, and a taxi cab.
Yep, and that's her thing. And
that's
now it's
crazy.
Called the Eva Chen pose. Yeah,
and
I know it's ridiculous. I remember when she first started doing it, I'm like, what is she doing, right? But then it's like every week you look for the Eva Chen pose, and sometimes you're like, I don't like her shoes today, or what kind of bag is that? Isn't that an old bag? But you're doing it, right? You're looking at it. Now I'm talking to you about it, right? So obviously it's a thing.
Right, we're perpetuating it.
Yeah. So that's how you create you become. But in terms of working with influencers, that's what I do in my course. Is it really lays it out for you and helps you get organized. And I think with these things, like when I'm talking about this guest campaign, I did one recently for another brand that had like 25 influencers involved, and it's the same thing. It's like, how do you keep track of everybody that's doing something? Like, one person's shooting a video, one person's shooting, writing a blog post, one person is in the middle of finishing a video, some person is posting content on stories and they still owe us something on Facebook. Yeah, and then somebody didn't even sign their contract yet and it's stuck in legal or it went back to legal. Somebody wrote something and Signs didn't like it and it's back at Signs getting revised. How do you keep track of all that? And that's kind of how I explain all that stuff, and it's templates and stuff that I've used over the years that I've developed, and just making sure that you get all your I's dotted and your T's crossed, especially when the Federal Trade Commission is really watching these things now. So you can't just take something or give somebody something without hashtagging it as an ad or a sponsored post or anything like that. And there are ways that you have to talk about it.
Interesting. So that's a whole nother layer. Okay. All right. And that sounds very complicated. But the thing about it is if this is interesting to you, if it's something that you want to pursue, if, you're like our beloved Shea McGee and you want to build an empire, because I've got my baby designers out there that absolutely this is their goal. This is another step in this process, which is not only leveraging other people's platforms to shine a light on your platform, but being somebody who other people want to have you be the light that shines on them. So it's awesome. I love it. Thank you so much, Susana, for sharing your tips with us today. And of course, the course Influencer Marketing Roadmap, which, as Susana has said, is like a cookbook for, figuring all of this out, all the way from the big picture items of having your brand cohesive all the way down to the nitty gritty of the Federal Trade Commission and all the legalities of it. And you can find the link to that on my show notes, and you will find it in the newsletter that comes out the week that this show is live. That is probably the easiest way to do that. So make sure you're on my email list, 444-999, and put in the word design biz. And then you will be added to my email list. And you not only find out about Susana Yee and her course, you'll find out all the places that I'm going and what I'm doing and what we're all doing together in this crazy podcast of mine. So thank you, Susana, for showing up and sharing your ideas with us today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining me again today. This podcast is a production of WindowWorks, your resource for custom window treatments and awnings. To learn how we can help you on your next interior design project, go to www.windowworks-nj.com. And if you're interested in working with me on your business, either through masterminds or one-on-one coaching, or you want to know how to get my book, The Making of a Well-Designed Business, or you just want to know what's going on in the podcast land and where I'm going to be, all of that is found at luannigara.com. Thank you so much. Have an excellent day.